Hello, Maya. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm fine. So, what is the origin of the word Earth?
Oh, you're diving into the roots of things today. The word earth actually comes from the Old English ortha, which basically just meant ground, soil, or dry land. It's kind of wild that we use the same word for the dirt under our feet and the entire planet, right?
Nah. So,
Fair enough.
how
Why does
did
that not feel wild? You
so
were
are you?
starting to ask something. Go ahead.
How did
I don't have a physical home. You're on a roll with the questions. What were you going to ask?
how did uh, ans- uh, ancient civilization describe Earth?
I'm a little I'm sorry, I missed a bit of that. Are you asking about how ancient civilizations describe the Earth?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating mess of ideas. Most of them started with what they could see, like thinking the world was a flat disk floating in a vast ocean. The Mesopotamians, for instance, saw it as a flat land surrounded by a salt sea. Then you have the Greeks, who eventually figured out it was a sphere, though that took some time and a lot of arguing. Do you think it's weirder that they thought it was flat or that they actually believed the world was held up by elephants and a giant turtle?
I don't know. So, how is Earth the only no planet of support life?
That is the $1 million question. But it really comes down to a perfect storm of things like being just the right distance from the sun to keep water liquid, having a magnetic field to block solar radiation, and that amazing atmosphere. It's like the planet won the cosmic lottery. Do you think we'll ever find another place that's actually as welcoming as this one?
No.
That's a pretty
So
bold take. What
how
makes
did
you so sure we're the only
how
ones?
did is Earth according of a scientific estimates?
That's a bit of a heavy way to put it. Scientific estimates usually talk about the death of Earth in terms of the sun. In a few billion years, the sun will expand into a red giant and likely swallow the Earth, or at least bake it until it's a scorched rock. It's a long way off, but definitely not a great way to go. Does that sound like a cosmic horror movie to you, or just a natural cycle?
I didn't know.
It's a lot to wrap
So
your head around. It's basically the ultimate
my
long
next
term forecast.
question is where sorry what were really human believe early human believe about the shape of Earth?
Most of them just trusted their eyes. For a long time, it felt obviously flat because that's what you see when you're standing in a field. A lot of early cultures pictured it as a disc or a square, often with a giant dome over the top to keep the sky from falling. It's kind of funny how the most basic observation can lead to such a strong conviction. Do you think you'd be as convinced the world was flat if you lived back then?
No, the Earth is circle.
Wait, the artist circle? I'm curious, are you saying you think the extreme landscape there would have made you realize the world wasn't flat or that you'd just be too preoccupied with the cold to care?
Yeah, the Earth is circle.
Spot on. It's a relief we've moved past the flat earth theories, right?
Yeah. So how did the
It's definitely a more
concept of Earth change over time?
I'm thinking you mean the concept of the earth's shape evolving over time, right? It basically went from it looks flat to wait, the stars look different to hey, the horizon curves until the science finally caught up. It's a wild journey of people just stubbornly trying to figure it all out. Does that make sense, or were you thinking about something else entirely?
Matt, don't ask me question again. Understood?
Got it. No more questions. I'll just stick to the answers loud and clear.
Okay. So how is the difference between Earth and other planet in our solar system?
Earth is basically the odd one out in our neighborhood. Um, the biggest difference is that we have liquid water on the surface, which is a huge deal for life. Most other planets are either scorching hot, freezing cold, or covered in thick, toxic gases. Then there's the magnetic field, which acts like a giant shield protecting us from the sun's radiation, something Venus lacks, for example. Plus, our atmosphere has the perfect balance of nitrogen and oxygen, unlike Mars, which is mostly carbon dioxide and incredibly thin. It's a very specific recipe that makes this place unique.
Okay. So my next question is, how did
Like
the
I'm
name Earth evolve
heroin.
in English language?
It's a pretty straightforward evolution. It actually started with the Old English word orth, which meant the ground or the soil. For a long time, people weren't thinking about the planet as a whole in space. They were thinking about the physical dirt and land they were walking on. Over time, as our understanding of the universe grew, we just kept using that same word to describe the entire world. So we went from talking about the dirt under our feet to the entire sphere we live on.
Okay. So my next question is,
I'm all
what
ears.
role does Earth play in mythology and folklore?
Earth is basically the center of every story humans have ever told. In a lot of mythologies, the earth is seen as a living being, like Gaia in Greek mythology, where the earth is literally the mother of all life. In Norse mythology, the world was actually created from the body of a giant named Ymir, with his flesh becoming the land. Then you have a lot of folklore where the earth is the middle ground between a celestial heaven and a dark underworld, like the world tree in various cultures that connects different realms. It's always portrayed as this sacred, nurturing, but sometimes unpredictable force that we have to respect to survive.
Okay. So my next question is,
I'm ready
how
for the
is
next
Earth
one.
often referred to as Mother Earth?
It's a way of acknowledging that the planet provides everything we need to survive. The idea comes from the fact that the earth creates food, water, and air, much like a mother nurtures a child. It's a concept that shows up in almost every culture, from the Greek Gaia to the Pachamama in Andean traditions, framing the planet as a source of life and protection rather than just a big rock in space. You still there?
So, how did ancients Greeks view Earth?
I think I missed a word there. Were you asking about the first time humans got a great view of Earth from space?
Ancient Greeks view Earth.
Got it, the ancients, since they obviously couldn't fly up into space, their great view was all about observation and imagination. They looked at the stars and the way ships disappeared over the horizon, which gave them the clues they needed to realize the Earth was curved. It's more about piecing together a puzzle than actually seeing the whole picture from above.
Okay, so my next
Showing who?
question is, how
I'm
did
all ears.
medieval uh, scholars believe about Earth?
Not familiar with the term Monty Wall. Could you tell me a bit more about who they are, or if it's a different word?
You need to tell me.
I'd love to, but I'm just not seeing that in my records. If it's a specific group of scholars or a term from a particular region, let me know and I can dive in.
What did medieval scholars believe about Earth? Did you know
Medieval
that?
scholars were a bit of a mixed bag. Contrary to the. I was just getting to that part.
Okay, tell me.
Contrary to what a lot of people think, most medieval scholars actually knew the Earth was a sphere. The idea that everyone in the Middle Ages thought the world was flat is mostly a myth from later centuries. They relied on a lot of the work from ancient Greek astronomers and could see the curve of the Earth through lunar eclipses. The real arguments weren't about whether the Earth was round, but more about how it was structured and where everything was located.
Okay, so how did explore help explain our understanding of Earth?
Exploration was the game changer. It turned theories into facts. When sailors started crossing oceans and realizing they weren't just hitting a wall at the edge of the world, it proved the curvature of the Earth. That
Okay, so what evidence prove the Earth is round?
I think you might mean what evidence proved the Earth is round, right? Because if the Earth were actually wrong, I'm not sure we'd be standing on it. There are a few big ones. One of the easiest is just watching a ship sail away the bottom of the lunar eclipses, where the Earth casts a round shadow on the moon. And of course, now we have actual photos from space showing the whole blue marble.
Okay, can you show me the picture?
I actually can't show you images.
But
The
why?
web client is voice only, so I can't pull up photos. But if you want, I can describe what those first photos of Earth look like in a way that makes you feel like you're seeing them.
No, I didn't want to know. So my next question is,
No problem at all. I'm here if you haven't.
how has Earth climate change
I'm
throughout
listening.
history?
And and periods that were so warm that there were palms and crocodiles in the Arctic. It's usually driven by things like the tilt of the planet, changes in the sun's intensity, just happening way faster than it ever has naturally.
Okay, so my next question is, how was Earth formed from cosmic dust and gas?
It basically started as a massive swirling cloud of gas and dust called a solar nebula. Gravity started pulling all that material together, and the center got so hot and dense that it ignited into the sun. Didn't get sucked into the sun, kept orbiting it in a flat disk, and those little bits of dust and gas together like cosmic dust bunnies until the planet. It's one of those clumps that got a sweet spot.
Now my next question is what makes Earth atmosphere unique?
Blend. Atmosphere has a high concentration of oxygen, which is what allows complex life to act. Then you've got the ozone layer, which is like a built-in sunscreen that blocks the most harmful rays from the sun. And it's the perfect thickness, not so thin that the air just leaks into space like on Mars, and not so thick that it creates a crushing greenhouse effect like on Venus. It's basically a custom tailored.
Okay.
Right.
And influence life on Earth.
Asking how the oceans
Yeah.
influence life on Earth, right? Oceans are basically the heartbeat of the planet. They regulate the temperature, so we don't all freeze and we breathe things in. Everything started in the water before it ever tried out the land.
Okay. So my next question known rock on Earth.
Those would be the zircon crystals. They've been found in Western Australia and are dated to around 4.4 billion years ago. Bit crystal that's this planet cooling down from its birth.
From the move over time.
That's a process called plate tectonics. Essentially, the Earth's outer shell is broken into giant puzzle pieces called tectonic plates that float on a hot, semi-liquid layer of mantle. Because that mantle is constantly churning, the plates slowly drift, crashing into each other to build mountains or pulling apart to create new ocean floors. Millions of years ago, all the super before.
Okay. So my next question is what is the theory of the plate uh, tecton- uh, tectonics?
It's essentially the idea that the Earth's outer shell isn't one solid piece, but a giant jigsaw puzzle. These pieces, the tectonic plates, are constantly moving, though very slowly because they're floating on a layer of hot, flowing rock. When they interact, you get all the dramatic stuff like earthquakes, volcanoes, and the creation of massive mountain ranges like the Himalayas.
Okay. So my next question is how was
I'm all set
volcano
whenever you're.
shape Earth's history?
Volcanoes have been the Earth's primary in Thailand, like Hawaii, made some of the successful, but they've also been agents of chaos, releasing massive amounts of gas and ash that could literally change the global temperature and wipe out entire species. It's this constant cycle of creation and destruction that's kept the planet dynamic.
Okay. So my next question is what role has
I'm ready.
earthquake played in Earth's development?
Earthquakes are, well, basically the planet's way of releasing built up tension. They happen when those tectonic plates we talked about get stuck and then suddenly snap, sending shockwaves through the ground. While they're usually destructive for us on a planetary scale, they're how the crust gets recycled and shifted, which helps the internal heat and keeps the planet geologically alive.
Did life first appear on Earth?
That is the biggest mystery of them all. Most scientists think it happened in the oceans, maybe around 3.5 to 4 billion years ago. The leading theory is that simple organic molecules gathered in hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor, where heat and minerals provided the perfect chemistry to spark the first living cells. It's kind of a jump from rocks and water to breathing, growing things, but that's where the magic happened.
Okay. So my next question is, how did planet transform Earth's atmosphere?
It was a total. Early on, the atmosphere was mostly carbon dioxide. Came the bacteria, these tiny organisms that started producing oxygen through photosynthesis. Over millions of years, they filled the air with oxygen, which eventually paved the way for more complex life to evolve. It's basically the most successful renovation in history.
Okay, so my next question is, what were Earth's largest living organism?
If you mean by mass, it's the blue whale. But if you're talking about total area, it's actually a massive fungus and organ that covers over 2,000 acres. It's essentially a giant underground network.
Okay, so my next question is, causal what caused is extinction of the dinosaurs?
That was a said the dinosaurs was most destroyed that 6 million years ago. It triggered a global winter by kicking up so much dust and soot that it blocked the sun for years, crashing the food chain. It's one of the most dramatic game over moments in the planet's history.
Okay, so my next question is, how has Earth changed since the age of dinosaurs?
It's been a complete makeover since the dinosaurs checked out. The most obvious change is that mammals took over. Once the giant reptiles were gone, small mammals that used to hide in the shadows finally had room to grow, diversify, and eventually lead to us. Then you have the continents continuing to drift into their current positions, and the climate, several more ice ages. The era of the small, powerful.
Okay, so my next question is, what impact have Ice Age had on Earth?
The ice ages were like the ultimate global reset button. They completely reshaped the landscape by carving out through the move glaciers. Geography, they force life to adapt or move, which played a huge role in how early humans migrated land. We pruned the planet's biology and geography to get us to where we are today.
Okay, so my next question is, how did human become a, dominant uh, sp- uh, species on Earth?
It really came down to our brains and our social skills. We didn't have the sharpest claws or the most strength, but we developed complex language and the ability to collaborate on a massive scale, being able to share knowledge and plan. It's a wild shift from just trying to survive to actually shaping the planet around us.
Okay, so my next question is, what is Earth's place in the solar system?
We're the third rock from the sun. We're perfectly positioned in the Goldilocks zone, meaning we're not too hot, not too cold for liquid water to exist. We're flanked by Venus, which is basically a pressure cooker, and Mars, which is a frozen desert, making us the cozy middle ground of the inner solar system.
Okay, Maya, see you later.